here. $5 to sit in the front row. Goes to you, golf course. Okay, my phone says it's 6, even if that clock says we still have a minute. I'm gonna call us to order. This meeting is generally a quick one, so we'll see about that. All right. Call the meeting to order. We are all here except for Director McMaster, who is either in or on his way to Australia. He is excused. Does anyone, staff, or other board members have additions to the agenda? If not, I would accept the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. 3 items on the consent agenda. If any board member wishes to take something off of the consent agenda for individual discussion, we can do that. If not, I would consider a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Public participation, no one signed up ahead of time. I see we have folks who I recognize as horse riders. We don't have this issue on our agenda tonight. It's winter, the trail is closed to horses and bikes and anything other than walkers. And we will make, further decisions based on staff reports and recommendations later in the spring. But if you're here to speak, we'll be happy to listen to you.
As we came in, I know that
I'm sorry, you need to identify yourself.
my name is Cricket Dixon.
Thank you.
I know that the park is closed for horses. Apparently the bikers,
The signs are up.
the signs are up, but the bikers are not
No, we
agreeing.
just went up. They just went up.
But I know last time I was in the meeting, they said the park closes tomorrow, Jackie. October, no, that was it,
No,
not tomorrow,
I
but
believe it closes relative to the weather. Casey, can you,
Yeah, I believe Cat and Russ were working on closing it.
oh, I thought it was closed. I told somebody they couldn't ride there.
sorry, I didn't hear all that.
There were signs go up the first time and we had some maybe rain.
Yeah, so it's been closed for a while.
Yeah.
Correct?
But someone told me the bicycles are up there. I don't know.
Well, we did hear that and I guess Russ was up there and put small signs up. That was one day. Just to tell us there's bikes up there doesn't really.
To add a little bit more detail, Russ did interact with a biker that was up there. And let him know that the course was closed. The horse is gone. So maintenance for the season. And make sure that the signs are back up and put up new signs also. It absolutely did happen, but it is closed for bike seven. Thank you for that.
You may walk though. Sir?
Just a thank you on the sign thing.
State your name for the record, please.
Bob Freshman.
Thank you.
I sent an email to Cat and Don on Sunday. On Tuesday morning, the signs were up, which was great. Appreciate the fast response. And I think that goes a long way too. Maybe because there were bikers using the east side trails, but you can't blame people if there's no signage up there. Now there's signage. And I think that would go a long way to being a good solution. Thank you for the prompt response.
Intention, for lack of a better term, we will be keeping a close eye on that. I'm right. Yes, ma'am.
Lois Fox, I would just like to know when, you said that the use of the Riley Park is not on the agenda now because the trails are closed, but when are we gonna reach some resolution for use of those trails?
The board has directed the staff, Mr. Clements, Mr. Creighton, and Mr. Stewart, to be working this winter on some recommendations for us to consider, and we will consider those, I would say, late winter, early spring, before they open. We will not open either trails until we, discuss that and come to some
Thank
Some
you,
decision.
I appreciate that.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just a clarification then on the agenda, Tamara Bush Johnson,
Thank you.
who's on Roman numeral 6D.
Mhm.
So that is, would that be a discussion? Let's just approve the RFQ for the master plan?
We're actually going to not approve it, but that's a request for proposal or for, I don't know what the Q stands for.
I didn't either, so I do RFP.
Qualification, so, yeah,
Qualification.
it's the same kind of a thing. And so, but, yes, we're in the process of getting ready to send one out. We don't have one yet. And, the superintendent informed before the meeting, we're still going to do some fine tuning to that. So we won't actually finally approve it probably until next month, and then it will go out. And, but I mean, that's gosh, it'll take what, 6 months at least for the master plan to come back to us. I mean, the master plan won't be done before we open the trails next spring. That's a longer term
I
thing.
just didn't know what that meant, and I don't mean to jump your agenda.
No, it's
so If
fine.
you want us to
Nope,
to
nope,
wait for
nope.
that, but I was just
No, you
asking
don't need to wait for that.
what
We're not
kind
gonna,
of proposals then do you,
It's just for the master plan. It's just to get a qualified group to prepare a master plan for us to consider.
and so that would go out on your website and for other folks to be able to apply
correct,
to be part of that master plan?
yes. I mean, there are organizations out there that do master plans for parks and park districts.
I see.
So
So you're looking
and
for
they'll essentially,
professional-
they'll essentially bid on it.
Yes.
But thank you.
I think, I'm quick at Dixie.
Just a second, you'll be next. Yes, Don.
What we did is an RFQ is request for qualifications. We decided not to do a request for a proposal to do it. We wanted to select 3 firms that we felt had the best qualifications for doing that type part. There's hundreds of consultants out there that can do it. But Bob and Crystal Riley is a different type part, and we wanted to make sure that the team put together, we felt, could best do the master plan for that particular part. So we put out an RFQ. They will all submit their team that they propose to use and their qualifications. We will go through those qualifications and look at that team and make a selection of 3 firms. We will then request those 3 firms come back to us with a proposal. That proposal will give us a time guideline that they're proposing to do the master plan, as well as the steps that they're proposing, as well as the cost that they're proposing. So we'll then make a decision based on that information, and we will select one of those 3 or either start the process all over again, which we don't want to do. Hopefully, we don't have to do that. It has happened in the past, but I don't see why it would occur this time. But that option is available.
And what we'll do here, what we'll do here, in fact, is once we finish with public participation, I will jump us down to that agenda item. We'll do that next. So if you want to stay and listen to that, you can, and we'll just do that next. So,
Because, thank you, because I wasn't on the board back then, I would really like the opportunity to review whatever history we have available, like the committee suggestions from back then, just so I'm caught up on the history.
Okay.
Is that something?
Kat is probably the best person to get you that. Yes, ma'am.
No, my question was, I think, some of us have used the trails first. I'm wondering if, at what point do we get a look at that before our suggestions are able to see what you're building before you built it? You know, if there's any input for any of the users.
So once we select the organization or company or whatever the right phrase is to do the master plan, part of that whole process will be public input.
Okay.
And public participation. They're not gonna go over here in a vacuum and then come back and say, boom, here's the plan. Okay, I promise you, you will have a chance for input once that process starts.
And we'll also make available all the prior. There is a lot of prior, and we'll make all that available as well, not only to the people doing the master plan, but the public as well.
I have a question on that.
So, excuse me, I'm sorry, the gentleman in the back had his hand up first, and then this lady here did, so.
Hi, my name's Joel Dix. I'm a horse owner in the area and a trail rider in the area. I'm also the assistant head coach to the mountain bike team that practiced out there this summer. Wanted to come in, kind of talk a little bit about what we did, what we do, what we are, and first and foremost, though, thank the board. It was great for us to be able to practice out there. It actually brought a lot of experience to the team. Brought some, because they were able to actually practice on real mountain bike trails. They were safer. We had less incidences and crashes and races. It was a big help for us. We are the Lake Oswego mountain bike team. We are a composite team. Composite means that we have riders from all over. So we get riders in this southwest valley, the riders from Newburgh, Sherwood, West Lynn, Lake Oswego, Tigard. We even get into a few riders in Beaverton and one rider up in Hillsborough. So this whole South Valley is what we incorporate into our team. We are a youth organization. We're a nonprofit. We basically operate like any sports program for the high schools, middle schools around here. We take 6th grade through 12th grade. So we have about 50 students on our team that ride. And about 15 coaches. We first and foremost wanted to thank the board and thank Don and thank Casey and Kat and Russ for helping us out with getting the privilege to ride out there this summer. It was really crucial for our team. We actually did very well from the state perspective in a state competition. One of the riders out of Sherwood High School won the state championship for his grade level. It was a pretty significant accomplishment for him. As a team, we finished 3rd in the state, really second to Corvallis, which has an extensive trail system, and Bend that has an extensive trail system. And really, the other place we practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. We practice over at Lusher Farms, which in general is a field. So there's no trails there. And we teach some skills and do some endurance there. But the biggest step we made was being able to find the Riley Park and get on real trails for the kids to practice on. And that's when we asked to go and to practice one night a week for a couple hours. That's where the bike event came from, and worked with those folks to get that. And so I wanted to say thanks for that and clear up a few things on what that was about. I can take questions. I'd also like to probably then go into give a little perspective. I've watched the videos for the last couple of meetings, not a lot of biker input that comes into those. So from the biking community, really in the grand scheme of things, would like to promote a multi-use trail system. Those trail systems are all over the nation. Even our state championship race out in Madras was a multi-use trail system with horses, hikers, and bikers, all with clear signs, all with good courtesy type people and users. That system is used everywhere in the nation. Trails outside of Albuquerque, where I was over Thanksgiving, are multi-use, right next to the city. Where our team in Arizona practiced when I was down there 4 or 5 years ago was a multi-use trail system, and we passed horses on a regular basis. I will go back to the team a little bit. I did open up every practice with the notion we are sharing the trail, and we always yield the right of way. Remember, they are kids, so they don't always get it. But we do say that the horses have the right of way, and we work with them. So with that, I would really like to promote, a multi-use trail system going forward. And that is my input. And I do thank you again for allowing us to use it.
I appreciate you coming and clarifying some things, and we will, again, the board is going to be waiting for the staff recommendation in the spring.
Understood, thank you.
Let's see, ma'am, you're next, and then the lady behind
Yeah, I guess my first thing is that
you.
what Dawn was,
Your name.
oh, I'm Jenny Geronimo, sorry.
You.
Dawn is saying that, you know, you go through this process of finding a firm and you have to find the firm, and then if that doesn't work out. So what if that takes us like into like halfway through the summer? Does that mean the trails are gonna be closed to bikes and riders?
No, I believe I said, but maybe I didn't make clear that, you know, that process is gonna, it's gonna take, it may take a year. or more.
Yeah, that's what it's,
The trails will open,
okay.
you know, based
Okay.
on staff recommendations in the spring, irregardless of how long it takes to do the overall master plan. You know, the trails aren't going to go away in the master plan, so they will certainly be part of the master plan.
Okay. My other thing is just speaking to this gentleman's, I think that, you know, being able to share trails I think it depends a lot on line of sight, like, you know, the terrain. You know, down at Willamette, you can see someone coming, they can see a horse, and a horse can see them, but if of course, a bike doesn't react like a horse, so the bike comes around the corner, it's gonna scare a horse. So I think it's, I mean, you could talk about, you know, multi-use trail, but it really depends on the terrain. So I think,
Okay, thank you.
Ryan Reinhofer, I guess my question is going to piggyback on Jenny's, with the master plan and the input and the selecting a company and all that takes time, I get it. And the trails we open back up, or what you said, because that could take forever. I just want to be really clear, is the separation of the east and the west going to be in place till that master plan and the OET and the heritage meeting and all of those things come together for something that would be cohesive for both sides?
I would assume so, but again, I'm waiting to hear the recommendations we get from the staff in the spring.
So we have to
can't-
check back on that periodically then, is
So,
that what you're saying?
Most, no,
The heritage
I wish Kat was
meeting-
here tonight. I'm sure, I believe she has all of your information. We will certainly make it very public, the meeting. You know, it's not gonna happen before the March meeting.
Yeah, well, I was at the heritage meeting and OET was helping with the RFQ and helping you to put that together, not you per se, but all of that to get it together and just really encourage signage, which I'm glad that came up on Tuesday, to keep it safe. So I didn't know where that was going to land. So everyone had the same understanding. This gentleman thinks or thought or said that riding twice a week or practice, but then the last meeting, Dawn said he only gave permission for once. So it just seems that it's really unclear.
That's not what I said.
Oh,
I
I'm
said
sorry,
we
I said
practiced
practice
out there
twice a day.
once a week
Oh, okay.
on Thursdays, when
Okay,
the bike
right.
event signs were up.
Okay, I'm sorry. When the bike events once every Thursday, but when I asked Dawn, he said he gave permission for one time and that was a misunderstanding. That's why I'm just trying to be really clear so that moving forward, there isn't misunderstanding on your part or my part for the safety on both sides while we're waiting for the master plan. That's
We
it.
will have something by the time March, when the park reopens, for safety purposes, there will be some kind of decision. We just don't know what that is.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
My understanding, Dawn can correct me, the whole discussion about the one-time thing was a one-time allowance to let them go on the other side and use the other part of the trail
Right.
for the one event.
Was that your understanding?
I'm not here to debate what
Oh, no,
went on
I'm
in the
just,
past.
I'm not debating,
here
I'm
for
just
that.
trying to.
So
clear
there's
moving
no need
forward.
for that. You asked your question, they can answer.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just wondering so that we had clear moving forward. If it's the one side, great, then it's the one side. But I know it happened on the entire park multiple times, so that's why I'm trying to ask you guys for clarity, so.
Dawn.
The current situation is we'll divide those. We currently have an individual out with GPS and all the trails. We'll have all of that done and on paper. The other thing we'll look at, and we'll get with the experts, is line of sight. She's correct. Making sure that the trails are safe. If they're safe for bikes and horses, then we'll use them. If they're not safe, of will separate. We don't know yet. We still have to do it. In the current agenda, the way that we're doing it is we'll have a map of all the trails. Forest trails will be in one color. Bike trails will be in the other color. And then we will have walkers will be allowed to go on both. So we're still in the process of developing that. And we hope, I think, Casey, we should have that by March or April, unless we get.
Well, we're having a meeting with Clinton on Monday, and Cat mentioned to me that he's almost done up there.
Yes.
This map. This is a revised map that Clinton's handed us,
Okay.
and this is the old map from the environmental assessment. So we're in the process of comparing the two. The newer one's a little easier to follow because it has actual elevations on it. So, and there's been a lot more trails built
Or
since.
been, yeah.
Then we'll figure out where the motorbikes go.
And
And I am just kidding.
Very funny.
You're there already.
We do.
E-bikes.
We did take both Robertson's advice under advisement. For some more sort of inputs as well.
Just wanted to understand that it wasn't just a one time a week continuing, moving on both sides without any kind of understanding and signage. I just wanted to be clear with that, so.
Appreciate
Thank
it. Anyone else? Is anyone else here speak under public participation on something other than horse and bike trails? All right, I'm going to close public participation at this time. As promised, I'm going to jump us down to the item on the master plan. Dawn, you want to walk us through that, please?
What we're asking the board is that on the master plan, we wish to go out for an RFQ. What I'm asking the board is to authorize the staff to develop a plan to go out for an RFQ. I went ahead and submitted a draft in your board packet. Because of that submittal of that draft, several people who was on the original committee of you and Don that did, Don, you were part of that as well. They have
You
come
mean
back.
Riley? You said you and Young. You mean Riley?
I said you're correct, Riley. They came back and made some suggestions, which I thought was excellent suggestions, and will cooperate and add that in to the RFQ. We intend on sending that out. Once we send out the RFQ, what will happen is we may get, I'm hoping we get 5 to more requests. If we don't, we may have to look at it. But out of all those requests, we'll want to select 3, as I said. And we'll look at the team makeup, we'll look at their time guidelines, we'll look at their cost. And we'll have them come back with that suggestion, and we'll select a firm and begin the process.
Okay, so I read through the packet yesterday. I don't remember exactly what the timeline was. When do you want to send the RFQ out?
Well, I'd like to send it out as soon as possible, so if you could.
So you're asking us
approve-
to approve it pending the additions that you want.
Right. Approve that the RFQ, that you willing for us to go out for an RFQ. And then when I complete that, I'll have Kat mail each of you a copy before we put it out. If we don't hear back from you within a deal, I'll go ahead and send it out. So it relieves you of having to respond. What she'll do is put it to you with the idea if you don't respond in 24 hours, it goes out.
Okay, any questions?
Does that mean you expect me to check my email every 24 hours?
Well, you had the proposal mostly in your packet.
Yeah.
It would just be a couple of extra.
There'll be 95% of it is already there. So,
Can
But
you,
that-
without going into excruciating detail that nobody wants to hear, can you give us some just general idea of what the additions are?
I believe, Casey, did you bring that email?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
Okay, so the answer is no, it's fine.
Yes.
There's like 3 different things that were suggested that we include in the.
It's not like Wendy or from Wendy or some people from the committee?
It was from the committee, I think.
From Wendy, mostly.
Her base, her genre is environmental stuff, so.
Right.
Okay. Or maybe Brian?
I guess I kind of read through the
Ah.
RFQ, and I think based, Dawn, on what you said with, my initial reaction is like, there's no vision or anything in here, but it kind of made sense with what you said, that this is more requesting for, right, participants, and then I'd assume they would get more structured details, but my feedback was kind of the same, is like, would it be worth, would it change who quotes it, or who throws their name in the hat, having kind of the report that the Autumn Crystal Riley Park Advisory Committee put together? And like the only other thing I thought was kind of more current state on background, that it is getting currently used by equestrians and cyclists and some conflicts. Just
I think that's exactly what she suggested, if I remember correctly. And I would agree with you, and I think somewhere's in there in the RFQ already, it mentions about the committee, and that information would be made available, because we got quite a bit of information on it. As well as the information, like last meeting, we got quite a bit of information. All that will be added in and included.
Okay. Lisa?
So are you gonna ask for us to approve this based on what we've
I
seen?
would ask
and-
that you approve that we go out for an RFQ for the park.
Okay.
That's right.
That
And
will
then,
look essentially like the one that's in the packet with a couple of minor additions.
exactly,
And we will see it before it is
That's correct.
actually
But we
sent
will
out.
see the minor additions before it goes.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board first? Sorry. Okay.
Just a quick question though, Tamara Johnson. Would that RFQ then be posted on the website? Once it's
Yeah,
out?
once we adopt it, it becomes public record.
Public record,
So, yeah.
so
it's already on the website. The one that's existing is on the website.
Okay,
We make sure all of those get on there. That's how we got the input.
That's one, I promise you, we're not trying to hide anything. Oh, sorry. Anybody else?
If there's
Barb.
no further discussion, I move that we approve the request for qualifications for the master plan for the Crystal Riley.
I second it.
Director Ryerson has moved approval. Director Rogers has seconded. Is there any further discussion amongst the board? Hearing none. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay.
Could we request that somebody will text Gail when that email goes out, just so,
Thank you.
so that she makes, or maybe text all of us.
Kat's pretty good about that already, anyway. I don't think she thinks we'd be.
Gail, I'm with you. I don't check emails every day either.
I can't believe I said that out loud.
I did.
All right. I will say what I always say. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We're not offended if you don't. Budget committee calendar. It's in your packets. Anybody have any questions about the calendar for routine? If not, is there a motion to approve the budget committee calendar as presented?
Move that we approve the budget committee calendar.
Okay. Is there a second? Moved and second was from Director Mizzou. Yes, Richard?
With all the noise in the room, this won't be recorded for last year.
That's okay. The budget committee calendar doesn't matter. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Budget committee appointments, those are presented in the packet. We only have one. Have we heard from Mike? Right.
Yes, Mike said, he would be glad to serve if you would reappoint him. As a matter of fact, he wanted to serve if you could reappoint him.
Works for me.
Aye.
All right. So,
I move that we approve the budget committee appointments as presented in the packet.
Second.
very good. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Budget officer, who wins this year?
Well, I decided to take it, I talked with Casey and them, and we'll kind of do it, but we have a lot of projects ongoing. They're going to be busy. So I'll go. As you know, last year Casey was supposed to, and we had that emergency, and I wound up doing it anyway. So, but I want to involve them more and more as we go through it, because it's important down the road. So every year there is training, and I believe, Casey, this will be your third. I send Kat as well as anyone. I believe, Julie, you've gone. So I send anyone that wants to go. So we'll do the same again this year. That'll be in February, sometimes January, February.
But you're gonna be the budget officer this year. Okay.
I don't think we have to do.
We don't have to approve you, do we? You're just letting us know?
Well,
Do we actually have to approve an appointment of you as the budget officer?
we've always done it in the past.
I move that, okay, you go ahead.
Move that we appoint Director Don Clements as the budget officer.
He's the superintendent, we're directors.
Sorry,
But yeah.
Superintendent Don Clements.
I'll second.
Moving and seconded, those in favor say aye.
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 All right, those opposed, motion carries. We did D. Modification to retirement plan, that was,
Our current retirement plan says that 21. As you well know, with the workforce, we now have people working for us who are 19 to 20. They're ineligible for a retirement plan. We checked with the retirement group that does our, every year we have it reviewed. They suggested that we just do away with that and modify it so that we don't have it, anyone a requirement. I asked them if that would present problems or be legal. They said almost everyone, no one has 21 anymore, so we're the dinosaurs. So I'm just recommending that we modify it and do away with it.
any questions or discussion?
I like the idea of giving incentive for young people to stay in the district, so
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
So,
Motion to accept?
thank you.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, we have a request from Habitat for Humanity to waive SDCs for their current or upcoming project. We've historically done this for them. I know Director Rogers wishes to make an out of order request.
I'm just stating that there's there's two kinds of conflicts. This is not an absolute conflict.
Potential.
Potential conflict is Rick is my husband. and he works for Habitat.
Okay. Director Rogers has declared a potential conflict. My interpretation of the law is that she does not have a conflict. That doesn't matter. Once she has declared a conflict, she is welcome to, you may under the law still go ahead and vote on the issue. We do have 3 people here otherwise, so you don't need you to vote. So I do need a motion.
I have a question.
Yes.
It says, to exempt us from the recent increase in systems. How much is so it's just the increase that we're exempting?
No,
It's the whole thing.
you're exempting the whole thing.
I think Rick's letter said increase, but we've always exempted them.
Yes.
How much is the whole thing, just out of curiosity?
I believe I don't remember off the top, it's around 8,300 rounded off.
Per unit, per multi.
Per unit.
If they're
right.
single family homes.
I have a question for Director Rogers.
Yeah.
Have you heard a response from the city or any?
I don't know if, I know that he has made a request to have the SDCs waived. They typically waive 2 per year, so.
And the school district also?
The school district he's willing to hear on this one. Historically, they've always been granted.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, I move that we approve the request to waive the system development charges for Habitat.
Okay. There's 0 seconds. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, I only heard 2 ayes.
I seconded.
3.
Okay, you still have to vote.
Oh, aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have 3 votes. And Director Rogers abstained. Reports and comments from board members. This is always exciting. Director Bizup.
Oh, I have, I'm good, thank you.
Director Ryerson.
Same as usual, I'd sure like to see us move forward with the Chehalis paddle launch and any one of those 3 locations, and looking forward to hearing more about the bridge across Chehalis Creek and doing it.
Okay. Director Rogers.
Just want to let y'all know that the Cultural Center had their Night of the Moon event, which is a large fundraiser for them to do their operations, and it was quite successful. They're getting ready, as you noticed in the packet, to start rolling out some folks to do the construction on the theater. And yeah, and once that's done, I think that it will, there'll just be one little classroom enough to do some renovations. Huh? One big classroom, yeah, I know. It's like one of my favorite rooms in the entire building, but that's okay. Anyway, so that's about all I have.
Is there any howling at the event?
There was no howling. Everybody was masked though.
I don't have a husky apparently.
Or a hound.
Or a wolf. I don't think I have anything. I'm, perusing, bills being dropped early for the legislature. I haven't seen anything yet that parts of this that we care about. I was keeping my eyes open since I'm doing that kind of stuff anyway. Other than that, I'm nothing good. Old business. Casey. Yes, sir. Updates on projects and when you don't have to have questions. We'll have the questions. You'll have the updates as briefly as possible.
Well, updates on projects. Aquatic Center, we're still working on. We found some, contaminants in the system. So we're working on treating that water loop, and we still haven't balanced it, so we're still working on it. There's apparently some, we don't know what it is, but it's microorganisms growing or rust or some type of substance that shouldn't be in there. That's interfering with some of the heating and cooling. That's that. What else? Union Bridge. We've been kind of waiting on the land use, but John's ready to submit both to the county and the city on the bridge proposal, and it's set to go in next week. Got some signatures put on there and some permits to pay, and everything's designed on it, and hopefully construction gets done next June, July, August. So that's where that project's at. What other projects we got? Like I said, to the horse people, we're working with Clinton on, getting all these trails identified and signed temporarily in the spring. Your approval or recommendations. I've been working with on the Sander property grant through the Atlantic Conservation Fund, and that's going to be up and coming shortly. Also been working with Mark Cowan, who is a grant program coordinator for the state parks, and I think back in July or something, Pat Darby came to us with a proposal to trade some land in Friends Park for some 5 acres that he owns adjacent to the property. And Mark has said it's doable. We just need to do an appraisal of the lot he wants, which is 0.115 of an acre. He's willing to donate to us 5 acres. It doesn't really affect the park in that it is the parking lot that he wants for his site next to the housing development outside of the park. But we'll gain more access to Hess Creek and up that drainage way. So there's potentially more trails in there that can be built up in Friends Park. And it is through the creek property, so it's both sides of the creek, it's not just one side. So it's a nice piece of property. And I've talked to John, our attorney, about that. He was the one that said, we could potentially do it, and now we know for sure we can. So we're I have to have a discussion with Pat and John about who will be responsible for those appraisals. We may have to have some surveying done, vice versa. That's on the agenda. Chehalem Valley BMX, Richard Klaus stepped down as president and pretty much gave us a check from their account. We held it in trust for the other group that they had an election and voted in 5 members to their board. And they're going to have some paperwork to the state saying that they want to change the nonprofit to the board of directors that currently runs BMX. Once that comes back, then we can get John to write an agreement up for their use of the BMX track. So it'll all be above board.
So they basically.
So the loyal opposition won.
They did. They had a petition and they held a vote of all the members that were still within the club, and that's what they decided on. They've also asked me, and this will come up again, they wanted to ask permission to put advertising up there to raise funds for maintenance on the BMX track. I know what the district thinks about signage. I would look at that on an individual basis and how permanent and or temporary they would be. Because I know we get flack from even putting signs up at the ballparks, and Julie does that, or Benji does that. advertises. And they've shown some pictures of, it's more quality advertising than just placards and stuff like that. Anyway, just want to let you know, because they're gonna ask.
Isn't that pretty standard for that?
It is, apparently there's some tracks make $80,000 a year on sponsorships. And that's 3 times as much as they pull in the regular year.
Maybe we can talk about it all the time, as long as they're, tasteful and we have some, control over the quality or whatnot. I'm not
And size.
inherently opposed.
And
So,
one of the reasons I've always told the group that was down there, they kept asking me, well, when are you gonna put a roof over this? I said, well, that's up to you guys. If you raise some funds and you want to come to us with a proposal, then there's a good chance that we might be able to help you. So we know that was part of the master plan anyway, was to cover the skate park and the BMX track. And it would allow for year-long use, but it was expensive in 2018, and I'm gonna guess it's really expensive now. It was upwards of $750,000 back then.
To do both?
To do both, yeah.
just better group, so. Director Rogers?
Do we have any kind of sign requirements currently for the district?
I'm not
And
sure.
is it something we should consider if we don't?
I would recommend that we tell John to put in their agreement about the signs so that they have the information. So that would alleviate that. And I'll ask John what he suggests so that we don't wind up with some signs that would be inappropriate. And I'll ask him how to construct that and what to do. So I'll bring that back to you. It'll be in the agreement.
I would say that, the signs are gonna be, the district will have to approve it. I mean,
Exactly.
Casey doesn't need to be all board members. But just so we're not advertising condoms or something.
Get a whole discussion with that, I don't know if it's
So, Director Rice.
Yeah, I know we probably had this discussion before, but can Don or Casey give us an update on if we have plans to pave the lot and put restrooms?
For what?
At Ewing Young?
Paving the lot at Ewing Young and for restrooms.
Well, it's part of the master plan. Again, that's.
Just only money?
I think it's a good discussion to have in that I agree, we need restrooms. If you remember, 2-3 years ago, I gave you an outline. I said, if you approve the SDCs, this is what we can do. If you don't approve it and you go with the second choice, this is what we can do. If you go with the lowest choice, this is where we're stuck and what we can do. I hate to say it, but I will say it. We're stuck with the lowest. Now, I'd like to make magic happen, but we'll go out there and we'll continue to work on it. But it's not going to happen as well. As you well know, we have a bridge to build. We have a bypass pass to do. We're working on a lot of projects, and those projects are $3 to $5 million. Where's that coming from? And that's just what we have on the board. We keep adding stuff, and I agree that we need restrooms there. That's not an issue. Restrooms for there would run us about $300,000. We could put in a nice restroom for about
I
that.
lost track of who's in the house.
Kylie,
Kylie.
done.
Yeah,
And she does a good job policing and maintaining the park, and she's a good asset.
but Bart, I hope that answers your question.
No, I'm looking forward to all this new development with all the
Maybe if we
increased
get
system
some
development
advertisements
charges.
down there, they'll help pave the parking lot.
So what, John, Casey, Brian, whoever, and obviously, I mean, I'm not the brightest guy ever, but I'm bright enough to know this is relative to the weather. About when do we typically open the trails back up at Riley Park each year?
Typically about mid-April.
April, May.
Depends, like last year, it rained through middle of June. So
Right.
every year's different. Some years, generally it won't dry out until in April.
So,
Some of the trails could dry out faster. The ones on the upland property that are flat and exposed would probably be available sooner than others.
so that question was a precursor to my, directing / asking you folks to bring us recommendations at the March meeting.
You may have some before that.
March at the latest.
I'm hoping within the next couple months.
Definitely priority.
The Bypass Trail, we received the agreement to work within the right of way of ODOT. That was President Brian. So we have the agreement okays us for construction as well as maintenance that has to be done on that alongside the bypass, ODOT's right of way. We are running into a problem with ODOT. Constructing their, what is it, the tie-in for the 219 and the bypass and New Ski. We had an area that we're going to use for a staging area, and that's been, well, the timing is not great, let's put it that way. That where it comes off of 219 and turns on to the bypass, they're gonna condemn 2 lots down at the end of industrial. And it's right where a trail starts on the dot bypass. They're gonna change the grade and the trail on the lower portion of it. So we've had some discussions back and forth with ODOT, and we're still working on the River Street part, the railroad. And
Can I ask you something? I don't understand that. Like, there's a development that's right there.
Yeah.
And they had to do nothing. It's still being built. I walk that area all the time.
I know they actually held a meeting with ODOT in Yamhill County, discovery type thing with the developers on that property, and I don't know why they didn't do something then. But the city didn't require them to build a rail crossing. Even though it's, yeah.
I think they knew we were coming. And there was a shift of dollars, in my opinion. That's strictly an opinion. Do I know that? No. But I agree with you, Lisa. It just makes sense. If nothing else, at least share.
Yeah.
At least share 50-50 rather than 100% our way. That makes no sense. But that's, as
always
you
makes
well
sense
know,
to the city.
that's not uncommon with them. They do that to us all the time.
So
And then they tell us that they shouldn't treat us special. I don't want to be special. I just want to be like everybody else. I'll settle for that.
So we're working with the mill owner property, mill owners. Because what the city's requiring us to do and what we need to do to build that trail requires some property from the mill owners, which is gonna benefit them anyway.
Sure.
So
Right.
I'm pretty sure that they'll allow us to do, or to take, I think it was 6 feet or something like that along that River Street, or you basically have to take the pedestrian path and go around the signal. So it requires some property there. And then, for whatever reason, this got brought up, Mr. Rux brought it up during our discovery, was that ODOT neglected to put the path where it was supposed to be when it came out from 11th Street. So a portion of that might have to be moved. ODOT doesn't have to get permits to build structures on their property, so the city didn't have any say in it. And no permits were issued to ODOT.
So why is that our problem?
Well, I don't know, we can fight it and see what happens.
So about property, we keep on over property.
We will fight it, but they're trying to take something that they made a mistake on and shove it on us so that we can take care of it. But we won't. We'll fight it.
Let's have ODOT build the trail for us, so they don't have to permits.
It's just in there right away.
I don't know if the board is aware, but ODOT did apply, not one, but 2 Tiger grants to do exactly that. We work with them, and we work with our congressional delegation. Unfortunately, we were not successful. So that's why I think ODOT came back and worked with us. Total, when we're through with this project, it's a very expensive project. We will have probably, from our end, maybe $1 million for a project that would be $9 million. So that's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. And we'll get that developed. We're still working with ODOT because it needs to go even farther. And when they build this through the golf course, we're working with them because there are overpasses and stuff to make sure that the citizens on that end is not cut off from Fred Meyer's and shopping and all of that. And so we're working with them as well as the hospital to make sure all that works.
Okay. Anything else, Casey?
Well, it's kind of like a project list and board report at the same time. I did meet with Stephen Phillips. Remember we were talking about the conversion of Gurney Field to turf? And I went back and looked at the meeting notes from April before I kind of went to the golf course and stayed there for a while. And there was an agreement mentioned between our district and the school district regarding the use of that field. And it basically is a lease agreement for 99 years. And I went and met with Mr. Phillips and talked to him and forwarded that agreement to their attorney and to John for their review. And the boards were supposed to get together and meet and sign that agreement at the time. That was back in April. It's been a few months since. But that was what we discussed in the April board meeting. So that will be forthcoming to our next board meeting.
That money was appropriated from the legislature. It was earmarked money from the Oregon legislature. My question, was there a time limit on that? As the board is aware, a lot of that money had time limits on it. This particular one, thank goodness, had no time limit. So we have a little more time. At the time, back in April, when we were going through that, I don't need to remind the board what the school district was going through, but it was not nice, and they didn't have a superintendent and one thing. So as soon as Steve got on board, we made him aware of what was going on in the funding and those type things. So we will receive $750,000, which will be about 50% of the matching money that we'll need to do the fields themselves. So, and then we talked about doing pickleball courts too. That'll be an addition. How much of that will cover all of that, I don't know yet. We'll get more cost estimates as we get closer.
So just one, I mean, when we discussed this back in April, it was, we agreed to $750,000, right?
Right.
And as y'all are aware, construction costs are raising like every minute. So if all of a sudden you get to the place, since it's taking a while to actually put the field in, and it's gonna be another 500,000 on top of the $1.5 million already, what's our responsibility?
Well, we have no responsibility unless you choose. Again, that's why the boards were gonna come together to work all that out. At some point, the school board, as you well know, is going to build a middle school there. They have to have that thing. And what they don't have to have is a turf field. But they would like to have that, and I agree with them. So we'll look at all that and work it all out at that point when we have the joint meetings.
Okay.
And also I met with, the city has a new planning manager, not director. The manager, his name is Clay Downing. And I met with him and Doug Lux and just kind of went over everything that the district's doing in the city and around the city, just so that he kind of was up to date on everything that we did, what we were doing, and have a plan for the future, so no surprises. Cultural center, the campground, the getting beyond the bypass trail, all the heritage trails that would land. I don't want to be surprised when you go ask him for things. Well, that's what I got.
Okay, any other questions for Casey? Okay. Next item are committee reports, pickleball, trails, golf course. We actually have a live golf course committee member here. Art, do you want to talk about our meeting the other night?
Yeah, I'd like to back up a little bit. We've had 3 meetings now.
Excuse me, you'll need to identify yourself, sir.
Oh, Art Gregory. So far, we've had 3 meetings of the advisory committee. Most of our effort has been to try to identify financial information, finances that may be available to the project, ways in which to generate funds for the projects. And the projects we're looking at is a clubhouse for the golf course, another 9 for the golf course. We've also been looking at the driving range as far as putting shelter over the teeing area for the driving range and putting a fencing around the driving range. And that part, I'll give back to Casey because he's done some research on the fencing, and we're still looking for some estimates on a cover or a partial cover of the teeing area for the driving range. I think the other thing that we were looking at is maybe better or improved mats for the people to tee off of at the driving range. And in our last meeting, our meeting on Tuesday, one of our members brought in a sample of a mat that could be used, and we've asked that person to see if he could get one mat so we could at least have a sample, see how it works, and then evaluate whether to go forward on that or not. Last Tuesday, we discussed the need to set up a separate account in the Chehalem Parks Foundation, so that as we collect money through the golf, how would I say this, count through the fees charged for golfing, but it wouldn't be a golf fee, but let's see, it would be anyway, it would be a fee set aside, which is $5 for everybody that pays to golf, with maybe an exception or two. Would be asked to pay $5 as a surcharge that would then go into a fund for the developing of a clubhouse or the nine, whatever we're able to determine and present back to the board and to the committees. So that's about where we stand. We've gotten a lot of financial information, but we've still got a lot of work to do. And Casey was asked at the last board meeting to take a look at get a quote on what it would cost to fence the remainder of the golf range, and I'm going to turn it over to Casey to let us know what he found.
Yeah, I think I gave that to you, huh? It was $350,000. 5 water golf balls. Ellen spends like $20,000 a year. Is just under that. That doesn't include any permits, no reconstruction after you destroy the driving range. That's just what the nets up. And you have to replace the nets every, I guess on the long side, 10 years.
So we talked about that. We talked about maybe, don't need to put fence at the far end. There aren't that many people that drive it through the range. That would save some money, but they'll keep talking about it. We did talk, I've been talking with Heidi and the auditor through Heidi, so this is new information for Art, so we're trying to figure out, it may be that we don't need to shuffle the money into the foundation from the surcharge. It may be able just to sit in an account that's designated, so we'll figure that out. So, I know Kellen is looking to raise rates 1st January, I think, just for the course in general. So at least that was been talked about. So we're putting off our surcharge until July 1st. So that number one, it kind of stair steps the course so people aren't hit with everything at once. And number two, it puts the surcharge on the same cycle as our fiscal year, which just makes it a little easier for Heidi and the auditors to deal with it that way, and gives us time to plan for it. My charge to the committee was, we're not going to do the surcharge until we have a nice drawing of a clubhouse up on the wall in there that says this is not necessarily the clubhouse, but this is an example of what we're talking about here, and this is why we're having the surcharge, to try to start taking some small steps forward towards getting the clubhouse built. And I think a good PR campaign, to lack of a better phrase, will decrease complaints about surcharge. So they see something they can actually look at and say, okay, that's an extra $5. So that's the plan at this point. Nothing is formalized or final. So anything else you want to add, Art?
No, that pretty much covered. Thank you.
Okay, that's the golf course advisory committee update / report. Pickleball committee, to my understanding, hasn't met, so there's no report from them, unless somebody has something on that.
I know that there are a bunch of pickleball participants that are now working out, or I should say playing at the aquatic center. So we've set up days for them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from I think it's 10:30 to 12 in the gym. And that's been pretty well attended. They started, I want to say, November 1st. And so I think a lot of them are enjoying that. They had such great luck with the weather this year that they were able to participate outside, but we're seeing a good amount of those pickleballers in the gymnasium, which is nice.
Alright. And I don't know who's here, I don't know if the Trails Committee met in the last month or not.
They did, I was at the meeting.
Okay.
Jim McMaster was at the meeting.
Okay.
And,
Well, Bart was at the meeting? Bart, tell us about the Trails.
Bart was at the meeting.
So it seems like we've lost about a third of the members, and we had a discussion of, they're really anxious about working on the signage at Bob and Crystal Valley Park. And so Quentin Combs was on remotely and told about his GIS mapping and let them know that he was very close. So they're anxious to get working on that.
Yeah, and Hope Robertson, I invited to the meeting. She's been involved with the Oregon Equestrian group, and she's also helped to manage trails in Southern Oregon for a lot of multi-user trails, horses included. So was very good information to have her at the meeting. And some of the recommendations for the RFQ actually came from her as well.
Those are the people we'll use to determine line of sight because they have the expertise. They know what it is, they've experienced it, they've developed those things. So we'll rely on those type people to help us make this decision. So we'll come back to you when we get all that done.
Lisa?
One of the things when the gentleman that came in and spoke about the bike group, right? It seems like the majority of the people are not from our
Joel
district,
Brooks, yeah.
right? So, like,
Well, that's a decision the board has to make, is what kind of differentiation are you?
That's the high school club. There are people like Brian, they're just mountain bike riders that go and use the trail club.
I understand, but I think that the majority of the issue that has arisen is because of this club. And because I don't think it's the once in a while riders that stay on the side they were supposed to be on. It's these kids that are kids, right?
It's 50 kids.
And they're daredevils, and so it's causing, I think that's what's causing the problem. And there was just the way he was speaking, I was just sitting there going, well, I mean, I think we need to make sure that we're providing services to as many of the residents in the community as we possibly can. I really do firmly believe that. But it's for our district. And so, I mean, maybe we should be considering in the kind of case where this is groups from coming outside, that they have to pay a surcharge of some kind in order to use the facilities. And I know that's hard, but at the same time too, I mean, it's caused us a big problem where every meeting we have 50 people here, so.
I would like to remind the board that by law, and there's been many court cases, by law, you're not allowed to forbid other people outside the district from using or being part of it. What you are allowed to do is look at what the added cost is, what the residents are paying. For instance, at the golf course, we have an out-of-district extra fee, correct?
Yep.
We've had it since we opened. Why do we have it? We have it because the residents built that and paid for it. So what do we charge the out-of-district people for? And how do we determine that? And there's a scientific way by which the courts has ruled that's allowable. As a matter of fact, I know we discussed it, you said I never knew it, but we went over it. The same thing with the swimming pool. We've had an out-of-district fee. It's set up based on what it is, so that if we have to go to court, we have some defense. And we base that on what has stood up or withheld. And that's the best that you can do. So that's how, within the district, we do things. And for our out-of-district fees.
Is it appropriate to try to include that piece of the calculation when you're doing the master plan as a part of the master plan?
Sure, if you're gonna charge.
The issue is that 0.167% are free is still free.
Yes.
We're not charging anybody to use it.
So.
You're being taxed. You're
My-
being taxed, so yeah, you are.
My recommendation is that, you know, if they want to use the facilities, they have to provide hours of volunteer trail maintenance.
Whatever it is, I, you know what I mean, all I'm saying is that it doesn't seem like it's okay that we're providing a space for everybody else but our own people, and they're having problems now. So, I mean, if there's something we can do, if we can consider it in that master plan, I would appreciate it.
So, thanks a lot.
I like that idea of
And,
hours.
you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, all the groups that have approached me from up there, they all have offered to volunteer to do trail.
Good.
Even the horse people, I know some of them do, some of them don't. And I don't know how you can identify.
This year, when we open, for the first time, we will have what's called trail stewards. We'll have a group of volunteers that will be dealt with, and they'll have shirts and hats, and it'll be trail stewards.
Badges and guns.
Well, their responsibility is not enforcement. Their responsibility is to inform people about the rules and the regulations. Their job is to call if an individual goes up there and says, go away, and they don't listen. They call the sheriff, or they call one of us, and we go and take care of it. So that will be what we call trail stewards. It has worked in Bend and other places. I went to Bend, I met with the guy. He has agreed to come here for our first meeting because they have experience, and has agreed to share with the group all the information, and has shared with us how they set up, what to do, what not to do, what they've seen that is good and what they've seen that is bad. So that's where we'll go. And we'll just call them trail stewards.
Not marshals.
Right.
Okay. Friends Park right away.
We discussed that a little bit. He discussed it. For the board's information, where we intend to give him will mean that he'll have to run water and sewer to his lot, which means he has to run it across us. And we'll make sure that they're aware that we're going to build a restroom, and where that restroom will set when we give them that, so that they understand, so that later on, there's not a dispute. Now, what's going to happen is if we build it while the original people are there, we won't have a problem. But what happens if they sell the house and they're not there? Therefore, we'll put some agreement together, and I'll ask John to put that in the deeds and those type things, so that we have a record, a legal record of all that. So, and that'll be a benefit to us in reality, because originally we'd have to run that there, and they'll run it for us, and we'll just be able to tap on. So there'll be a savings there for us as well.
They have a better map if you guys are interested in looking at it. One in the board packet wasn't ideal.
No.
Okay, cruise that, we'll move on. If you have other questions, you can come back to Casey. Look, Mark, the next item says, has the words paddle launch in it. Who's speaking about the paddle launch?
I think what we've done is John has said that we already have the access. So now it's a matter of getting with the property owner, which is Lindquist, getting the property designated and legally getting that done. So you'll be hearing again on that. And then the question is, do we go ahead and do the paddle launch, which we will do, but can we get with the Marine Board and get any type grant or money from the Marine Board? We'll look at that. By doing that,
Or the state park also.
that may delay us 1 year, just to give you an idea. It may not, but as you well know, with grants, until you get them, you're not allowed to spend the money. So we'll have to do that. But we could go ahead and give access anyway. And how we do that will be a lot, but we can't get the money back for that. But we'll be looking at all that and putting it on the table. So that's to be done. So you guys are going to
Some,
be
any kind of
improving.
timeline? You wanna talk about a timeline when this all might happen? I mean, at least.
I'm
have
hoping to
access,
have
even if it's not-
access and the land and that wrapped up by the April, because we're not gonna be able to get in there, as you well know, until May or June. So I hope to have all that work done by April.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions about the easement, having looked at the new map? All right. Moving on, superintendent's report. Anything else to tell us?
Nope, told you enough.
Okay, staff reports. Casey, have we exhausted you, I trust?
I'm done.
Brother Stewart.
Parks, the priorities are dictated right now by Acer, Zerkova, and Fraxinus, i.e. leaf pickup pretty much, and safety around that. It's a big deal this time of year, and we have a lot of trees, which is wonderful in the district. Among other things, that's what we're busy with.
I have a question about that too. It's turning into that time of year when we get flooding, at where those residences are adjacent to.
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob Park, and they've come in and complained about flooding going into their yards, and I'm just curious.
We've made
Whoever-
big strides there in the last,
Friends Park, too.
Friends Park also. There hasn't been any complaints this year, and the city came in and did some work also on the culvert off of College.
Okay.
We redirected water there, and then redirected, discovered some old irrigation and broken pipes or whatnot off of Main.
Okay.
Stuff that infrastructure that probably went back to, who knows when, the 60s or whatever. But, and rectified some of that. And I think that's gonna help alleviate that. And then with some of the efforts we put forth this past summer with cleaning out the ditches and drainways, from invasives that are growing in there or whatever, to allow that water to flow properly and actually see what's happening with it. So far, so good.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now Viking.
So this is a great opportunity for me to introduce our newest employee in the sports department, which you're probably excited about over there. This is Nicole Llewellyn, and she's our new sports technician. And she's been very, very helpful this year. She started, I think, was it 1st of June? May. And so she's been through a full season of fall sports with us, and she's just done a fantastic job. She took on football was her main responsibility, and that's a really big sport for us. It takes a lot of organization, and she did a great job. So tonight she had her first coaches meeting with the basketball coaches over there, and she was handing out basketballs and schedules and all that, and communicating with those coaches. So we want to welcome her. We're very excited to have her. She brings a lot of energy to the sports department. She has kids that participate in our programs, and she's a great girl. So we're excited to have her. She wanted to visit and see what this is all about tonight. So let's see.
Did you
We
bring
do
your
have
15-page report that's required in your first meeting?
I did not, that's what, John's so responsible for that.
we did have over 1,000 kids participate in the fall. And I think we have close to that and maybe a little over that in basketball this year. And that's amazing. We feel very fortunate to have that, or to be in that position. I think I maybe have mentioned before, but in terms of basketball, it is our only winter sport, but it's set up, I feel like it's a great opportunity for kids. So we have kindergarten, first and second grade kids that participate in the league. It's called Little Tiger Basketball, and they're so cute. I want to say there's over 300 of them.
Oh, wow.
And so many that we've had to split them up into, boys only, girls only. And it's really neat because not only do they go into the gym to participate in their activity, but it's every parent and grandparent that belongs to those little kids, because it's their first really activity, and it's inside. And so there's a lot of sweat going on in there. It's very, very, very cool. And then we also offer junior Tiger basketball, which is 3rd grade through 8th grade, and that is our recreational league. So we offer that opportunity. They play locally on Saturdays. And then we also offer travel basketball opportunities for those kids and those parents and families that want more than recreational. So they practice 2 to 3 times a week, and they play in 5 tournaments. And then they have a home, but Newburgh High School puts on their own tournament. And so we feel like we've offered all the kids in the Newburgh Dundee community a lot of opportunity to, whatever their skill level and whatever their desire is. And with COVID subsiding, we've really seen a lot of people come back. So we're looking forward to that.
You aware that Anna used to teach a thing that was called Tiger Cubs at the time, that was a pre-junior Tiger?
Yeah, and I think Coach Ed took that over after that.
Ed helped her.
Yeah, I talk to him weekly. He's still around.
He works at Goodwill now.
What's that?
He works at Goodwill.
Yeah, he does, actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that became Little Tiger, essentially. So that's really neat. Adult basketball starts in March this year. We pushed them a little bit because we do need the gyms. Our gyms are full. So those kids.
It doesn't start till March?
Yeah, it starts in March this year. And the reason for that is because we have so many kids participating in the winter that we just don't have the facilities to support them. We use the elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high school for practices and for games. Nicole, how many teams do you have?
We have 37.
Yeah, and that's just in junior Tiger, right?
That's just in junior Tiger, yeah. That's not including the travel teams and then,
Yeah. So anyway, we're excited about that. But Nicole's doing a great job. We're excited to have her in the as a CPRD employee, and it'll be fun she has to put up with John. So let's see. I wanted to talk about aquatics. So we bought some table tennis. Table tennis. What do I want to say? Ping pong tables. Friendsview and CPRD are kind of working together. Friendsview is very interested in starting a table tennis league. And so we split the price of some tables, and we have a big group of Friendsview participants that are riding the bus over, and we're starting a league that will take place in the gymnasium. So that will start, I think, in December. And we're looking forward to offering opportunity to our seniors and then anybody else that wants to play too. So that's something that's new for us. Again, the pickleball, we do have those participants
The tables go between the pickleball courts. That's a lot happening.
Takes a lot of-
All at the same time.
Yeah, we gotta get some strong employees to move all that stuff around. Let's see, also, we've had a lot of club participation in terms of tournaments at the comp, or in the comp pool. We had our biggest tournament by far in October. We had OSU, U of O, water polo teams participate in a big tournament that took a lot of staff, and that went really, really well. It showed us that we could support a lot of teams
I
during
think
tournaments.
that was their club nationals.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, people came, yeah, there were teams from all over. I think there were
Michigan.
12, yeah,
I saw Michigan there.
yeah.
There were a lot.
Yeah, and that went really, really well. We were very prepared for that. Thanks, these guys helped a lot to make sure that the facility was ready, and we'll expand on that. It's we wanted to be able to offer vendors selling food and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. It showed us that we could do it. So we're going to keep going with that. We also have Special Olympics that are participating or swimming at the comp pool on Sundays. We're looking forward to that. I talked to Tara yesterday, and she said that I could just let everyone know that she is going to be retiring at the end of January. So we will miss her, but we wish her well. She's has some exciting things planned for her life, and she deserves it, right? She'll be going to Hawaii at the end of January, so we will miss her. Let's see, in our rec program, we have 75 gymnastic kiddos. We started in the rec program this Happy Feet. I think Dawn's grandson participated in that. This is a 3-year-old soccer clinic. We had 35 participants. That was new. And then I also, in our rec program, we are, I might have mentioned this before too, but we are partnering with George Fox. They have these e-leagues that are going on, and they are gaming. So similar to like the football program, basketball program, they have a head coach for what they call the e-leagues. And these kids sit in this auditorium, and they play and compete against other colleges. And it's pretty competitive. It's their space is incredible. Their equipment is top of the line, and so we've partnered with them to offer kids tournaments. And so every month, like we will offer one in December, a holiday tournament, and then we'll offer one each month that has a kind of a theme. And so that's a good partnership, and again with George Fox as well. It's something I'm not really familiar with, but we've seen good participation with that too. So
we're giving up and encouraging kids to sit on the couch and play games.
I know when I first heard about it, I was a little hesitant, but it's really, you have to kind of see it to believe it. It's set up pretty well. It's organized, and then that equipment, evidently, their computers, their gaming software, and their consoles, they become obsolete quickly, and so they have said that they would like to, after they're done using them, they would like to give them to us so that we can offer some kind of computer games to kids too. So we'll work on maybe setting that up at the Armory or at one of our facilities so that we can expand upon what we're already offering. The Senior Center is now open to in-person dining. They're open Monday, I think it's Monday and Wednesday around noon. And I think all of us maybe went out and had lunch there. That was very nice to see people. It was actually packed that day that I was there. So it's nice to see the seniors back and enjoying that. We had a bazaar at the Senior Center. We had over 55 booths, which was amazing. And we spilled out into the Crater Gymnasium, and that was very successful. Erin Harrington, who runs our care program, she also does our markets, and she was in charge of that and did a fantastic job. And then Key with Care, speaking of Erin, we have 175 full and part-time kids. They're getting ready for their, we'll be at Mabel Rush for the Christmas break. We have some kids signed up. We have some field trips planned for them. Actually, one of them's to the pool, and that's going very well too. It looks like the school district changed the days that they we're talking about this today actually, but change the days that they are going to be off. So we're efforting that. And then the only other thing I want to add is that we are working with, the Aquatic Center is working with the care facility that is located behind the Aquatic Center. And we're going to be putting a basket in our natatorium. There's a list of things that care facility would like to, or that we would like to present or gift to those residents as like some Christmas gifts. And so we are working with them to try to figure out what they need, and then we will open that up so that members or staff or employees, anybody else, anybody that would like to donate to that box, we will take that box over to them on the 23rd and have it maybe a little Christmas party for them. So I wanted to mention that. I thought that was a great idea. That was a Wendy Roberts idea, and I thought that was excellent. So if you stop by there and have anything, that'd be very, very nice.
Why don't you, after the first of the year, the holidays are over, if you could coordinate, let's pick a date for a senior lunch that we'll see how many board members we can get just to attend, just to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A good gesture on our part to go down to senior center and have lunch with the folks and just talk to them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So we could do that, so.
We have a new gal, I think I'd mentioned, her name is Sarah Larson, and she's really doing a wonderful job. She's working hard to offer different kinds of things, and they have like a Tai Chi.
It'd be great for the board to go see all this in action.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. Let's do that.
I'll put you in charge of that.
Okay.
I feel comfortable that the Forest Grove Viking is in charge.
We can sit at the same table, I guess.
They better have to wear maroon and gold.
And that's it.
All right, the next gentleman, this is Kellen Saskin, who's granting us a rare in-person visit here.
Thank you. Yeah, just real quick, a couple clarifications. As far as our point of sale system is concerned with that $5 fee, that's not an issue. We can create a new item and then have a separate revenue code. So it's completely separated, very easy to see. And then for the fee raises, we started our winter rates November 1st. So there was a fee raise then. And then come May 1st is when summer rates will change. That increase to take place. And then July 1 seems like a good time for that. And that gives us some time just to kind of iron things out as far as who's exempt from that, who's not. Kind of comes up with annual pass holders as well. If they have a one-time charge or something like that. So just things that will get taken care of over the next couple months.
We'll figure that out. Okay. Scott?
Although the weather's getting worse and we've had a few frost delays, we're working hard to keep the course open and playable for all the brave souls that want to come out.
30 golfers today in that cold, nasty weather.
They would have been a good day if I had time. Richard, anything to say for yourself?
Not much.
Excellent, good report. Haley?
Not a whole lot. Julie had mentioned the bazaar. I was helping Aaron and Sarah put that on with also Sharon at the senior center. Fun group to work with. But yeah, no, I think it was the biggest it's been yet.
Yeah.
Which was really exciting. Brought in a lot of money. And everyone was really excited about the baskets that were raffled off. A lot of wine you could buy. So a lot of wine was sold. And yeah, a wide variety of vendors, which was really cool. A lot of handcraft items and a lot of very local people who were really talented. So it was a successful event. It was fun to hang out and see it all happen. That's it for me.
Okay. Moving right along. Does any board member wish to comment on the citizen comments? Director Ryerson.
Yeah, there was a comment in there about the homeless people at the park, and I noticed it has been a problem before. I think we need to be compassionate, but my wife took a field trip down there, and it was there was a real problem, with kids that wanted to use the bathroom. And it's a great spot if you're homeless, because there's actually running water, bathrooms, and it's a covered area right there, but makes the park less usable for our residents, and so I don't know how you balance compassion for homeless people with, you know, the need to have a park that's you know, friendly for use for the residents. So I saw the comment, and I think it's something we need to have a discussion about. Well, probably not today, but
It's an issue, and there has been some legal, I mean, I think in Idaho, they tried to remove people, homeless people from parks or streets and stuff. And somebody went to court on it, and as long as you have a place for them to go, you can do that. So it's a huge, huge issue. And I think we probably really need to work with the city on this, because they're gonna have their own set of issues with it as well. And I mean, if we can be proactive on it, I think it would be wise, so that, I agree with you. We need to have space for, people need to be able to use the parks that we have for them. But we also need to figure out then, how do we do that legally, compassionately, all of that. It's gonna be hard. It's just gonna be hard, so.
It's a difficult issue, and we do have a long-standing policy that, you know, sort of predates the homeless crisis, quote unquote, that, you know, we don't allow people to camp in our parks, period. And so, you know, we're not discriminating against homeless folks when we enforce that rule, because it's always been a rule.
can you have John Bridges maybe give some recommendations for what we might be able to do? And then also, you know, I'd like the staff to work with the city and see if there's a, you know, some place that might be more appropriate there, that we could suggest they move to.
Well, there are lots of programs out there for them, and they're kind of pointed that direction. But if they don't want to, you know, go to county services or anything like that, typically if they're in the park after dark, we have them trespass out.
I know, Dawn had asked Kat to put together a little kind
It
of
was
placard so that we could hand, so our employees, Brian's crew and Casey's crew could hand those out as, you know, out at the park, so that at least they knew, you know, what was available to them, just speaking to, you know, kind of what you're talking about, Lisa. And do you think that, do you feel like that has, I mean, have you been handing those out at all? Or do you feel like that's working, or?
We're posted at most of the public
Yeah.
restrooms as well.
I've been, I probably engage daily with houseless folks and the community. And then we have a very good relationship with public safety. So we encourage us to, if there's any issues with people that are breaking any of the rules in the park. We have well-established rules for our parks. We're proactive about that. We are proactive about walking the parks, getting out on the trails, looking for areas in particular that someone might want to set up camp or whatever. You're absolutely right. This is a world problem. It's not just a Newburgh problem and a Portland problem. I think by being proactive and engaging with folks, we definitely let people know of resources that are available and opportunities that exist. We're encouraged, if someone is breaking rules or whatever, to call public safety. The last gentleman I worked with, and her, a female officer, said that's why body cameras are really productive for them, is because it clears up any gray area, it creates a record, and let them engage, so there wouldn't be any false claims or any of those things that could possibly be opened up. There are other city organizations and the shelters that have reached out to us and let people know that they can go there at night. I challenge anybody, you can stand on the corner of Sherman and Sheridan between 6:30 and 7:30, Monday through Sunday, and you will see a caravan coming from the area of Vermillion and College. The shelters are located. So they have to leave there at 6:30 or 7. Obviously, public facilities are a big plus for someone that is homeless. So we offer that. I mean, we maintain them in our parks, be it at Memorial Park or the Cultural Center, Hoover Park, restrooms, that people have to have access to. There's issues that go with that. That's a whole nother discussion. That is, resources that need to be spent by the district that, are growing. And like you said, we did have a discussion about that. What costs the cities and districts have to do to help maintain that. But they are public facilities, what I've always felt, and for everybody. Just like a horse that wants to ride up at Riley, as much as someone that, if they're open dusk to dawn and they're adhering to the rules, I would think any individual, a mom with 6 kids, as well as a guy with a backpack, has a right to be there. And so that's how we've been treating it up till now. But, it's a lot more visible. And the ideas of, so we have to be more diligent about the 219 property, or out in Friends Park, way out there, or down in Hoover. And that's where the eyes of the community come into play, and they're very good about if they see a situation or notice something happening, they point it out. And we react. That's where we're at.
I think that situation that that you were talking about, Bart.
Down below Dr.
Yeah, we cleaned that out.
It's a second one in less than whatever.
And then literally within 24 hours, they were back. Because I talked to Cosmicky about it. And we sent, you guys went down there and
We
cleaned
went
that out.
out and limbed it, It's ironic, the same store shopping cart reappeared.
I know, but they were back within 24 hours.
Grocery outlet. But anyway, yeah, so we'll take steps by eradicating brush in the areas that, it's just a thing you have to do. In winter, it tends to slow down. They're more sleeping under the Black Box Theater overhang or stuff like that. It's unfortunate.
And there's some around Jakewood that have children, and that's really sad to see. We had summer camps out there, and they were there. It's very, very, very sad.
Thank you, guys. It's not easy. It's not easy, so I appreciate what you do. We can only wave our magic wand and fix it.
Okay, under miscellaneous info, I want to let board members want to take note. January meeting, we will have an executive session once we finish the regular agenda. Talk about a couple of items under the heading personnel issues. And then Heidi has advised me that we are overdue, and so February, after the regular board meeting, we are also the foundation board of directors, and we are overdue to have a foundation board meeting, and she has a few things she's talked to us about. So after the February meeting, we will be staying here for a little while and having a foundation meeting. So just be ready to be here a while, in the next couple of meetings. Giving you warning. With that, I have nothing else.
Then we adjourn. I'll give it to Bart.
2 motions to adjourn. They do not require a second. They do require a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Yep. Aye.
Aye. We are